Today, we talk all things perimenopause and menopause with guest and dear friend, Laura Posada. The symptoms, the stigma, the truth. We're going to talk all about this hot topic. But the question is, why are we so afraid to discuss it? We'll see.
We read the books, we bought the things. We thought we were ready. And then life took our plans and changed them. I'm Karen, I'm Victoria's mommy, and I work in tech.
And I'm Pamela. I have a baby boy named Ford, and I'm a journalist. And although we're both first-time working moms, we're actually pretty different.
And that's totally okay. Because we both agree that our most important work is raising our kids. We really need each other and can only get through this together. Welcome to Motherish Moments.
So right before we started recording, Pamela's like, we don't talk about it enough. And I was like, listen, my TikTok For You page and my Instagram Explorer is full of perimenopause. So she goes, a mí no me sale. And I'm like, damn it.
But I have a funny anecdote with our guests. But before we introduce Laura, hi, Laura. Thank you for joining.
Hi.
Today.
Thank you for having me.
Why don't we start like we always do with our motherish moment of the week?
Sure. I'll jump into it.
Okay.
So I have had a really great weekend with Victoria because there were some of my favorite movies that I really have been dying. I've honestly been waiting 5 years for her to be ready to watch movies. Like she was born and I was like, when is she gonna watch my favorite movies? Like kids movies that are my favorite.
What are they like?
Like Elf.
Okay. Is that child appropriate?
It doesn't matter. I took her to
Yeah?
see a PG-13 movie in October. We went to see the new Beetlejuice, and it was fine.
Okay.
I mean, she was the only child in the theater, but it was okay. But anyway, we watched all of these movies, and she was so into it, so much that she wanted to like repeat the movies. And I was so excited because number one, it's always been very difficult to get her to watch a movie. She likes short TV shows, or YouTube or whatever. But she was so into it and I was so excited and I felt like, I don't know, like a new chapter has opened up. So I'm just giving you the 1 year
I know.
ahead
Okay.
advance. Start thinking about your favorite movies that you want Ford to watch, and next year you're gonna be able to do it.
I
It's
like
gonna be great.
rom-coms, so I think
I don't think he's gonna watch
I know.
rom-coms.
I know.
Yeah, that's a hard sell.
That's so exciting. Okay, so my mother's moment is a very simple one. The other day, my son asked me to. He's like, "Hey, mom, I really want to clean my bike and my scooter and like all my outdoor stuff. Like, I just have to clean them." I was like, "Okay, sure." So I gave him like a little water bottle and like a little towel, like a little swipe thing, like whatever, little cloth. And then I just let him do that while I was like inside watching TV. And it was so sweet. Like I was like peeking
you
out the
left
window.
You're
Yeah,
like,
I was like,
"Bye."
bye. I'm like, he must have picked that our scene is somewhere.
Yeah.
But it was so sweet. I was inside my house in the AC.
Somebody cleans.
I
You
don't
have
know.
to see
But it was so, I guess, no, I think I don't know if it's my mom, someone like made that an activity, a fun activity
It
for
is a
him.
great activity.
And he loves it. So this past Saturday, I was like inside. I think I was watching like a documentary and he was like outside. And then when I glanced over, like he just looked, first of all, so big,
Yeah.
like such an hombrecito. And he was like really like going at it. I'm gonna share the video again because it was a story that I posted. And he was like really into it and really cleaning it and like wiping his sweat with his hand. And in my mind, I'm like, I just imagine him like fast forward, right? Like I'm 16, like washing his car in the front yard. I don't know. I just fast forward and
then
I
his
get
then a
sentimental.
girl crush comes by. She's like, "Hey, Ford."
I know. And they come, all the girls in his class call him 40, which I don't know if I'm loving
I
her.
never
Like,
saw that.
like, hey, 40, 40, and 40. I'm like, it's Ford, not 40. But it's sweet. It's sweet.
Yeah.
Anyway, so it was just like a really sweet moment where it's just a reminder like how fast it's growing and like, they're developing their own little personalities and attitudes. And it was really sweet. But I like that he's into like the
Yeah.
chores and chores.
Sure.
My weakness word. But it was sweet. Okay, so why don't we have Laura, our guest, share her motherish moment? First of all, are your kids home already for the holidays?
No, my son is in California. He's doing a master. He's 25. And Paulina is in Dallas. She's 22. So it's a bit different than your kids.
Yeah.
But my motherish moment was that I was with both of them this weekend in California. And I told them I was going to get LASIK surgery on my eyes. So both of them offered to come and take care of me because my husband was going away on a trip. And eventually, Paulina came over and took care of me all weekend. And I think when your kids are that age and they still want to be with you, they still want to hang out with you, like you did something right. And it's amazing. So I felt so proud and so loved and so happy. My eyes didn't even hurt.
That's so sweet. You're a cool mom, Laura.
Yeah.
You're definitely a cool mom.
Thank you.
Okay, so listen to this little anecdote. So I was obviously like in denial, right? I've always felt, I think, younger than I really am. Um,
Which is a good thing.
it's a great thing. Yeah, it's all like the power of the mind, right? So then randomly I get an invitation from Laura. And she's like, hey, I'm having this event at my house. I really wanted you to come. It's a great group. So I was like, yeah, of course. You know, like Laura's a dear friend. I love her. She's like goals when they say like someone, a woman that you admire in all aspects of her life. And you know, she lives a very healthy life that I'm trying to live as well. So she invites me to this event, not knowing exactly what it is, who's gonna be there. You know, I'm like, okay, great, I'm there. She's like, yes, come to like very comfortable. We're gonna do a little workout, and you know, we're just gonna spend the morning together. Anyway, so when I get there, and she'll tell you more about this. She told us a little bit more about her line of product, which is amazing, by the way, and is for women in, I guess, preparing for menopause or in menopause. Um, so as
I
I'm
can't
sitting
believe we're
there,
here. I can't
yes,
believe we're
as I'm sitting in the event, it hits me. I'm like,
You're
oh
like,
my God,
wait, why am I invited?
yes, like I'm here because this is reality. Like she's being a good friend, she's preparing me. And then she was sharing her own testimony, which I wanted to share today, about like how it hit her. Like she hit a wall when it happened to her, you know, and it is something that we don't talk about. I don't even think we like to admit it to ourselves that we're getting, I feel like some friends are either one extreme or the other. Either they're making jokes about it all the time.
Mm.
Like one of my best friends always like, oh my God, hot flashes. Yes, oh my God, I'm getting there. Oh my God. Because I think mentally they're done with having kids, right? So I
So they're
think
like
there's
on
like,
to the next thing.
I'm ready. Like I'm
Has
ready
your
for this
mom
season.
ever said to you like, oh, you know,
But my mom had a surgery and she didn't even have to go through it. Like after she had my sister, they're removed.
oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, like her, I think they did her
Like a
uterus.
hysterectomy, a full
Yes.
hysterectomy.
Right. So
Yeah,
she
my
didn't have,
mom this year, before I turned 40, Laura, I turned 40 in November.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. And so prior, like the months leading up, my mom would be like, Karen, porque ya la menopausia, es que sabes que es la menopausia. I'm like, Mom, I don't have menopausia. Like, no. And I was like, maybe it's perimenopause. And then it became this whole like chat with my mom friends. And yeah, I wanna know.
But it's good that she talked to you about it. My mom says she doesn't even remember. So it's good that your mom, is talking to you and preparing you for it.
Her version was
Scary.
direct, very direct. She was
okay,
like,
so
yeah.
what do you tell us, Laura? What happened to you,
Mhm.
right? What was your wake-up call? And what did you learn about the whole process?
Well, like you said, when it got to me, perimenopause, first of all, I didn't know what was happening to me. And I have always been super positive in life. I exercise, I eat healthy, I don't really drink alcohol. So, with a little workout and my consistency, I was fine. Then all of a sudden, I started not being able to sleep. That was number one, not being able to shut off my mind. So at 3 a.m. in the morning, I was sending emails, Googling, where frogs are from, like all these stupid things at night, and not being able to sleep. Then the next day, I was exhausted. I didn't want to get out of bed. I had no energy. I couldn't do my workouts. I would eat, but I would still be hungry. And honestly, I was depressed. I felt like I would gain weight just from like smelling food. I couldn't stand my husband. His breathing bothered me. I mean, I was in perimenopause. My daughter was a teenager, so it was not a good scene because we were both in a bad mood a lot. So it was just very difficult for me. And the worst thing of all is that I didn't know what was happening. So
For
I would
how
look at
long?
my
For how long did you have these symptoms?
for like a year and a half.
Wow.
I
So
think
for
we
a
should,
year and a half?
can we take a step back? Laura, can you explain perimenopause and menopause?
Okay, perimenopause is the stage when you start having menopause symptoms, which can be up to 34, but you still have your period, even though your period becomes irregular. Like you might have it for 3 months, then you skip 2 months, or it becomes super heavy or super light. It's just different from what it's been before. And then menopause is the stage when you've been without a period for a full year.
Right.
That's menopause. That's the only moment that's menopause. Then after that, for the rest of your life, you're going to be in postmenopause. And every stage needs you to be aware of it so that you can recognize what's going on and you can make specific decisions to how you're going to handle it so that you can feel better.
Hmm.
So that's why it's important to talk about it so that you can recognize what's happening to you. I didn't know what was happening, and I honestly thought I was going crazy.
Yeah.
I would look at myself in the mirror and I was like, who is this person?
Mm.
Like I felt like someone had sucked the happiness out of me. Honest, that's how I felt.
Who was the
And
first person that you went to? Like after this whole year, you're like, who did you seek help from? Like, what doctor did you talk to a doctor? Did you like, who did you seek help from?
well, first I talked to my sister, and you know my sister because she's a doctor.
Yes.
She's a breast cancer surgeon, and she was the first person I talked to. She's my older sister, so I was like, "Hey, like I'm feeling like this. Like, do you know what's going on?" And she's like, "Well, I still get my period every month." She had to rub it in, even though she's
Dude,
5 years
like
older
it's
than
like
me.
it's crazy how like that's become like a badge of like youth and
Yeah.
honor and like right like we feel so proud about it like
Yeah, she's like, I still have my period every month, but I think you might be in perimenopause. So you should go to your gynecologist. So I go to my doctor and she's like, what's going on? You know, what brings you here? And I'm like, well, to be honest with you, like, I don't feel like myself. I can't sleep. I'm gaining a lot of weight. You know, I have mood swings. I'm not like crying, but I'm sad. I'm depressed. I can't seem to like get myself out of it. And I don't know. I just feel like empty inside. And she's like, oh, okay. Oh, and I had hot flashes. The hot flashes during the day. And
What does a hot flash feel like?
a hot flash is like all of a sudden I could be sitting here and all of a sudden you start getting super, super hot. You start sweating and it can last from 40 seconds to 4 minutes. And you just start sweating.
And
And when it happens in public, it can be super embarrassing. But when you're sleeping and it wakes you up, it's horrible because you start sweating. So basically all night you're grabbing the blanket, getting rid of the blanket, grabbing the blanket. So it's like a struggle all night and you can't sleep. And there's different things that trigger them. And the number one is alcohol.
ooh, how old were you when you started having these symptoms?
I was 46, which is pretty young. I
Mm.
was 46. And it took me like a year and a half to figure out what was going on. The first doctor suggested I start using an antidepressant
mm,
because that would help me with the mood and it would also help me with the hot flashes. But I didn't want to do that
Mm.
because, I'm like, there has to be another way. I'm a positive person. I don't want to start taking something chemical that is going to have 20 other side effects. So I decided I didn't want to do that. So then I went to a different doctor and then she asked me, what's going on? Like, how can I help you? And then I just started crying. And she's like, okay, you're in perimenopause. And then she
wow, so they're like
suggested,
very very visible strong symptoms, right?
well, it's
Everything you
different for
described is
every woman.
I don't know.
For
It's
me,
weird because I feel like if it sounds a lot like when people have had postpartum depression or anxiety, like they're so obvious, but you're so unable to identify or recognize what it is. And it takes sometimes a while. Some people don't even recognize or admit until they look back many years after that and they're like, you know what? I did have that. That is what
And
it
you
was.
know what happens too is that when perimenopause is happening, like you might have good days and then you might have terrible days. And why is that? Because your hormones are fluctuating. So there might be a day where you wake up and you feel good. But then the next day you wake up and you don't want to get out of bed because your hormones are really low. So that's the thing with perimenopause. It's like a roller coaster. You know, one day you're up, the next day you're down. But as soon as you realize you're in perimenopause, that's when you have to start changing the way you exercise, your nutrition, the supplements you're taking. And it's also the perfect time to go see your doctor to see all the available treatments and decide what you're going to choose for you because there's not a one size fits all treatment. It's a very, very personal decision. There's a lot of options, and you have to decide what you want to do and what's going to be your personal treatment.
What did you learn, Laura, about other women or the community when it came to discussing this topic?
Well, I decided that the best way for me to deal with it was to just going to be really open about it. And I decided to be
You
transparent,
feel
to
that
be
most
honest.
women are not open about it? What's your experience with that?
It depends. It depends. In the beginning of the podcast, you started talking about it and you were a little shy and a little embarrassed. And that's really the norm. Some people want to learn, some people are really honest, some people have no problem, saying they're in menopause, and then other people are super embarrassed. They feel like if they admit they're in perimenopause or menopause, it means that they're old. It means that they're not relevant anymore, that they're not important, that they don't have value. So menopause sometimes has been, the same as like, you know, sort of, you're old, you're gonna be
That's
banished.
it. The
Yeah.
You
end.
can't have kids anymore.
The end.
The
Like
end. Game over.
you're like, you need to be home with the rolos, the bata, the
Get a bata.
chaqueta, and that's it. You need to stay home. But I'm here to tell you that, it's very simple. It's a matter of recognizing you have it, choosing a treatment plan, following it consistently, and then just deciding it's the perfect time to like renew yourself and live the best years of your life. And now that I've known, that I've learned all these things at 53, I feel better and I look better than I did when I was 46
Wow.
because I'm comfortable in my own skin.
Yeah. I was reading earlier today. I have a terrible addiction to Chat GPT prior.
I love it.
So I was like, hey, Chat GPT. I was like, explain, like define perimenopause and when it happens. And so on Chat GPT, the thing is, I feel like, and I experience this with TikTok too, it's such a broad range, like with everything that has to do with women. I don't know why everything that has to do with us is so like, it could be this, but it could be that, right? So like it was saying, oh, perimenopause could start sometimes over the span of 10 years, like over a long period of time.
Yeah, well, Laura said even
Yeah.
as early as 34.
So they're
right?
saying in your late 30s, early 40s, that it could take years or sometimes months. It's like, so it was
No, I mean the actual process of perimenopause and menopause can be between 7 and 14 years.
okay.
There is something that is important to talk about and that women should know, and it's called early menopause.
Mhm.
And it happens to like 2 or 3% of women, and it can happen in your late 20s or in your early 30s.
Mm.
What happens when you have early menopause? The thing is, probably if you don't know the symptoms, you're not going to realize that you're in that early menopause because you're too young, and it's only 2 or 3% of women that have that. If you don't realize that and you don't have a good doctor and you don't make certain decisions, like maybe freezing your eggs or something like that, then you run the risk of not being able to have children because you weren't able to recognize the 34 symptoms associated with menopause. So that is something that is not really talked about too much. and it's extremely important. And in my conferences,
34
and
symptoms.
34 symptoms
So
associated with.
I do this thing, I don't know, maybe I do it like once a year. So I froze my eggs. I shared that when I was in my early 30s. And
Mhm.
I developed a close relationship with my doctor who I love. And every year, like or every other year, I try to go back and get myself checked out just to see, like, like mantenimiento, right?
She's like, am I
Yeah.
good
In terms of
still?
like my fertility, like I want to know like if everything's
Yeah.
working, what's healthy, what's not healthy. Even though have my eggs frozen, I still want to know, and again, I do the checkup. And last time he was like, oh, you're like a 32-year-old, you're fine, you're ready. He goes, but that could change any day. You never know. I'm like, okay, so it is good to know. Like I always advocate for women to be proactive and go checked out, go do the test, find out. A lot of people don't find out until it's too late or something is not working. Instead of like, let me see like where I am, where I stand, especially when it comes to fertility. And then I could proactively do something, or if you can, do something about it. Instead of just waiting until
Yeah,
it's too
I
late.
I find like it's so tough for some people because number one, I mean, there's the basics like access to doctors, access to having a good insurance that you can do, and then another time is that sometimes
But by the way, that has changed a lot. And people don't ask about it, but now it's getting covered more and more and
yeah,
more for women's health and women's reproductive. So
and then
you should look into that.
the other part is that sometimes you go and you talk to your doctor and they're like, no, you're fine, no, you're fine, and and then you have to. Like, I feel like there's so much personal advocacy involved in your health where you have to be like, if one doctor is not cutting it, then you have to try another doctor. And that, I think it takes a lot of work for women. I'm not saying you shouldn't do it. I'm just saying, I'm just trying to recognize that
Yeah, it's
that is,
not.
it's
Yeah, and that is
another task.
extremely, what you just said is so true. And it's extremely important because before you said, like, when it comes to women's health, like, it could be one thing or it could be another thing. And that's because honestly, most doctors don't really know anything about menopause because they go to medical school and the most that they study menopause is 3 hours. So many doctors
Very
don't really know.
superficial.
Yeah, they don't really know anything about menopause. So now that menopause is sort of in the scene, now there's a lot of courses and they're like learning more, but it's up to each doctor to decide that they want to go and they want to learn about the topic.
First of
So
all,
it's really in
can
your
you share
hands.
with our listeners and viewers, how did you become? Because I mean, I know why you're an expert in this topic now, but Laura is not a doctor, but she has become an expert on this topic. And tell us how you, obviously from a personal experience, but also in your entrepreneurial, I think, path took you there as well. So why don't you share a little bit about how you became this menopause advocate also, but also an expert?
Well, honestly, I felt so frustrated, so angry, and I felt so bad that I needed to find a solution. So I just started doing research, reading, seeing doctors, asking questions, reading books. Now I'm getting a menopause certification. And then when I was feeling so bad and I couldn't find a solution, and I'm like, okay, I'm a coach. I'm a positive person. I don't really have any major problems going on in my life right now. I eat healthy. I exercise. If I'm feeling like this, imagine all the other women that don't eat healthy, that don't exercise, that have major problems going on. How do they feel? And on top of it, something else we discussed before, what if you don't have the means or access to going to a doctor because you don't have insurance and you can't pay for it? And a lot of these treatments for menopause are actually not covered by insurance. So I said, no, I need to find a solution. And that's what led me to go into the lab with Dr. Rosa, who is an expert in creating natural supplements. And that's what led me to create our first product, which is Knockout Menopause AMPM, because I wanted to find a solution that would work for me and that was also at a price point that anyone could have access to it. Like I can buy it, my housekeeper can buy it, a girl working at the mall anyone can
So
buy
these
it.
are natural supplements that you can work
Natural,
with your
natural
partner at the lab
supplements.
to help your body. Because I one thing that I learned from that, actually, that event that Laura in vitamin 2 is like she said, every woman reacts differently. So you're supposed to pay attention to what your body is needing and then help your body um with those supplements
I
or
don't take a single supplement. O sea, Laura's gonna like shoot me through the video. I
no,
don't take
but
No,
it,
I mean
nothing.
everyone has their
Anything.
own journey, you know?
No, I've never
Like
taken anything at all. Like I'm terrible at these things. I don't take
you
anything.
you might be at a stage in your life right now where your focus is different things, and it's okay. You know, like you should never judge yourself or compare yourself to what other people are doing, because in life there's changes, there's stages, there's priorities.
Mhm.
And my focus was not on supplements when I was in my 40s,
Right.
because I was feeling good.
Yeah.
And I never pictured myself feeling the way I did when I hit 46 and perimenopause hit me hard.
Mhm.
So it's okay. You do the best you can every single day, and you go to bed thinking, okay, I did my best today and that's it. So never beat yourself up.
Yeah.
If you want to feel better and you think, natural supplements is something you need in your life, then that's good, and you can start getting into it slowly. But if you have a good nutrition and you eat healthy, there's no reason for you to be like stressing about it. And natural supplements help, but there's also hormone replacement therapy.
Mhm.
And I'm not against that. If you think that's the route you want to go and that's what's going to help you, that's good for you. But even if you choose HRT, your body, when you're in your 40s and your 50s and beyond, you still need supplements, because the supplements are the vitamins, the minerals, and the antioxidants that your body needs, and hormones don't give that to your body.
You said something that I want to go back to, which was that it's important for women to also change the type of workouts that they do
Mhm.
upon entering this season. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I feel like when you're in your 40s, 50s, why are you working out, right? Like you need to have a goal. And my goal personally is that I'm preparing my body for what's to come, for when I'm 60s, 70s, 80s. And the way I think about it is, how do I want my life to be? I want to be healthy. I want to be able to stand up. I want to be able to sit down. I want to be able to travel. I want to be able to walk. I want to be an independent woman. I don't want to have someone around me so I can move around. That's not the life I want for myself, right? I want good quality of life as I'm aging. And every day we're aging. So for me, right now, I understand that the best workout at this stages of my life is I have to do resistance training. I do have to do cardio, but I do have to do heavy resistance training, because that's what's going to help me build muscle. And what happens when you build muscle? You protect your bones.
Mhm.
You prevent getting other conditions like osteoporosis, which is terrible for a lot of women as they're aging. They fall, they break a hip, they break a bone, and then you know how
the
it
way every
goes.
time I'm around Laura and I'm listening to her, like that week or that month, I work out really hard. And she's such a good inspiration. I mean, I used to work out with her for this. She is amazing. Laura's also an author and a certified life coach and a super mom and a super wife, and she's amazing. But she really, really um walks the talk, right? Like whatever she's advocating or sharing with us, she's doing it in her life. She's applying it. So every time I'm around her, like that week, I'm like, that's it. Tomorrow, I'm doing great. I'm working hard.
Resistance is weight training.
Yes.
That just to be clear, it's
Yes.
weight training, basically.
Yeah, I mean, I do cardio as well,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I'm really against you being at the gym on a cardio machine for 3 hours.
Yeah.
Like, that's not going to help you achieve anything. And there's a million other things you could do with your time. So, if you really want to see results at this age, 40s, 50s, and beyond, 1 hour, 5 days a week, and include resistance training. It's super important. And what does that mean? Um, for example, I weigh 120 pounds. I have to lift around 60. Like that should be the weight that I'm using, 60 pounds. To do squats or whatever it is that I'm using, to do arms, I should use 25, 30. It has to be, good weight.
Yeah.
It can't be like the 3 pounds for 15 reps. No.
Yeah, no. And honestly, this in the last like year and a half, I started doing more weight training or resistance training. And it really changed things for me. Like on a very like I noticed my body completely changing. It was very different. And from the inside out, right? Like
Yes.
you wise. And I just feel like if anyone comes at me in the street, like I can defend myself.
You got it.
I feel I got this. Like you know.
Laura, going back to the menopause topic, you just mentioned something a few minutes ago about now that it's like everywhere. Like, do you feel like what's going on with the topic? Is it like on trend right now? Is it what's happening? And did you really feel like there was a gap before that, right? Like there was like lack of information, lack of discussing it. Like what was happening before and what's happening now with this topic?
Well, my first video talking about menopause was in 2021, a TikTok video. I posted the video, and in 24 hours, it had 1 million views.
Wow.
And I hadn't seen anyone else talk about it in Spanish. No one else. Then slowly, I
And
mean, it's been
what was that video like? You was just like, hey,
I was just walking in my backyard, and I was saying, "Hey, have you been with insomnia, losing your hair, in a bad mood, and gaining weight from smelling food? Well, you're probably in menopause like me, but hold on, I'm gonna have a solution for you." And that was my first video, just that, as simple as that. And then I did another video like explaining more of the symptoms, and that one has 6 million views.
Oh my God.
So that tells you how eager women are to get information about menopause and perimenopause and postmenopause. They don't know anything. When it starts, how long does it last? What are the symptoms? What can I do to feel better? Are hormones good? Are hormones bad? It's just so many things. Am I gonna be able to have sex again? Even that. We haven't talked about that.
sex is a big one. I think people are really
Yes.
concerned. Um, how that affects your personal life and your marriage.
Especially because everybody says the 40s are the best time.
Mhm.
And then what happens? Do we crash? What happens? Like
No, and also a lot of women are embarrassed to like speak to their partner about the fact that they really don't feel like having sex anymore. And it's nothing, it's not that you don't love your partner or anything. It's just that your hormones are like probably really, really low, and you really don't have any desire. But that also has solutions, and
What are
and also,
after the first products, Lara, really quick, what are the other products you have added to the line, just to close? And I think sharing a lot of the symptoms is very helpful because then people are like really listening and toning in and being like, oh wow, that sounds like I could relate to that. That sounds more like of what I'm going through.
well, our brand grew from the first product. Now we have a full line of products. We have like 20 something products, and most of our products are related to menopause symptoms. Like we have one that's called Chill Out, and it's for the hot flashes. We have a collagen with vitamin C, which is for your skin,
I love that. By the
because
way,
oh,
the
I need
gummies
that.
are delicious. Not that like
they're so good. And now we just released a new one. It's a creatine gummy, which is called Muscle Up, because that is something that women need in menopause. So we have another one called Good Mood, which is a gummy. But then we also have a lot of products related to fitness, because that's my passion. So we have a pre-workout, a recovery, and energy that I love. So you can come to all the next events, because then I can get you in the fitness supplements.
Yes, I'm ready.
But anyways, one just closing, I wanted you to share like a closing inspirational phrase, I think for our followers. If they're going through this season or they're preparing for that season, to just not lose hope.
Listen,
Laura
listen,
was
the
really
last thing
desesperada. That was the word she used. Estaba desesperada. So
the last thing you ever lose in life is hope. Okay, you can never lose hope. But when I think about menopause and I talk about menopause, I think about the story of the eagle, right? When the eagle reaches midlife, it has to go away, and it has to remove all its feathers, destroy its beak, destroy everything, and then wait for it to grow again. and then he's reborn and he can live 50 more years. If he doesn't do that, then he dies. So I think of menopause and perimenopause the same way. I feel like it's the perfect time in life to evaluate everything that is going on in your life at that moment. Evaluate friendships, relationships with family, your work, your marriage, your goals. Evaluate everything. And it's the perfect time to leave behind anything that doesn't serve you and rise again, and be reborn
Oh, good.
stronger than ever, because you can. Now you have all the experience, from the first 45, 50 years. So now I might not be able to have kids, but I feel like I'm super valuable because, I can give people all this information and all these tools so that they can have a better life. So it doesn't matter how old you are, you can still live the best years of your life if you decide to do so.
I love
This was
that.
great.
This was so good. I love you, Laura. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, girls.
You're beautiful on the outside, but you're beautiful on the inside too. And I'm
Thank you.
to
I love you
know
guys so much.
be around you.
Congratulations on everything you're doing. Sorry I couldn't get so pretty today, but because of my
You look
lipstick, I
gorgeous.
couldn't put makeup on. I apologize.
You look gorgeous. You look gorgeous. Thank you so much for your guidance, for your words, and for your
Where can people
hope.
find all the information and the supplements and all that, Laura?
They can go to lauraposada.com, but when this ends, I'm going to send you a list of the 34 menopause symptoms. And you're going to put them here on this podcast so people can take a little quiz and they can check out all the symptoms that they have or they don't have.
Great.
Thank you, Laura.
Thank you.
Beso. Bye, girls. Love you. Bye.